but there's just something about it. I don't like it. And I can't quite put my finger on it. It hasn't been stated, but to me, he's very autistic coded. I like them. I'm going to tell them. I don't care if they like me back. They don't have to. That's not on them. That's on me. Like, there's no version of me that existed before knowing you. Because there's some things that have been said. They're just conflicting information. Hey Dragonlings, welcome to another vlog. This is actually going to be a different kind of vlog than normal. If you're new here, my name is Skye. I'm a fantasy author who typically writes paranormal romance under the name Hegyes, and usually I do weekly vlogs where it's like a week in the life kind of thing. Today's vlog is going to be a little bit differently because it's going to be a spoiler-filled review of the Baby Dragon Café by, hold that thought because I cannot remember the author's name, A.T. Qureshi, if I'm pronouncing that right. It's Qureshi, and I will put the book here on the screen and it will stay there the entire time I'm talking about it, for this clip at least. But my point is that this is a very spoiler-filled review, and I'm literally turning on the camera as I'm reading and talking about my thoughts as I'm having them. So it is chaotic, it is all over the place, and I apologize for that. But at the same time, it is what it is. It is hopefully entertaining as hell, and it basically is my thoughts and feelings about this book from the moment I start reading it till the time I finish it. The concept of this book is, I'm going to go ahead and just read the blurb that is available for the book, and it says, the perfect cozy romantic fantasy bestseller for fans of Gilmore Girls and dragons. When Saphira opens her cafe welcoming pet baby dragons, she isn't expecting it to be quite so hard to keep the fires burning. But her young dragon patrons keep her incinerating her furniture, which means selling coffee isn't covering all her costs. Local heartthrob Aiden is a gardener, though his disobedient baby dragon is a major distraction from his beloved plants. Can I talk today? Probably not. However, Saphira's cafe gives him an idea. He'll ask Saphira to train his dragon and pay her enough to keep the cafe afloat. They know they're the answer to each other's problems, but happy-go-lucky Saphira and gorgeous but grumpy Aiden couldn't be more different. Can they find a way to work together and maybe even ignite some fire of their own? The perfect dual POV grumpy sunshine cozy fantasy with HEA guaranteed. Tropes are grumpy and sunshine. We pretend we're married. Small town. Low spice. So yeah. That is what this book is about. That is what we're going to be reading for this vlog, and I hope you enjoy it. So I'm going to backtrack now to when I first started reading this, and you can see my thoughts and feelings as we read along. It's basically a read-along vlog without being a read-along vlog. Anyways, let's just jump into it. So enjoy. So I'm reading the Baby Dragon Café, and I'm not loving it. I don't know what it is about it, and I'm just not clicking with it. I'm going to give it a little bit longer. I'm only at the 14% mark. I try to make it to at least the 25% mark before I DNF, but there's just something about it. I don't like it, and I can't quite put my finger on it. It's definitely supposed to be like a grumpy sunshine, with her being the sunshine, of course, because anytime I read a grumpy sunshine these days, it's always the man who's grumpy and the woman who's sunshine. Like, can we reverse that for once? Not the point. That's not even why I'm upset with this book, because that's typical. But, like, it's not even that she's sunshiny. It's just, there's just something I cannot quite put my finger on that I do not like about this book. So if you've read the Baby Dragon Café, it is a cozy fantasy, and it is super cute. Like, I love the concept. She runs this cafe. Dragons are a little bigger than the biggest horses, which means they're a little bigger than shires, which can get about 16 hands, 17, 18 hands. I think the biggest horse in the world was like 21 hands tall. Record-breaking. I could be wrong about that. Don't quote me. It's been a while since I've looked at that kind of information up. But the point is, dragons are big, but they're not as big as like most fantasy portrays them to be. They're a little bigger than horses. And I'm talking about like big draft horses, not normal sized horses. And then the babies really aren't allowed in establishments because they're like babies. They're out of control. They can't control their fire breathing. They choke on everything. They bite. And they're trying to learn how to fly. Understandable. This woman runs a cafe that allows baby dragons inside, which, don't get me wrong, I love a good cafe with aesthetics, but if you're going to invite baby dragons into your cafe, maybe don't have wood furniture. The whole story starts with her like reminiscing about the fact that she's losing money because baby dragons have destroyed her cafe. There was a part about bathroom pipes being chewed on. I'm like, how? But while saying that, I just figured out how, because she's probably talking about the sink, and here I'm sitting here thinking a bathtub. So, whoops, that's my bad. But my point is that, due to an accident in her cafe, in the very first chapter, one of the dragon patrons sets her espresso machine on fire and melts it. It's fantastic. However, there is a little bit of consistency error with that, because a little bit later it talks about the fact that a baby dragon's fire is not hot enough to harm humans. And that's in the male love interest perspective, so it can't be both. It could not have melted the espresso machine, which is metal, by the way, if it is not harmful to humans. So a little bit inconsistency there. Maybe I'm misunderstanding, or maybe I misinterpreted the sentence that was in his thing about the fact that they couldn't harm humans, but either way. And then he's got a baby dragon that his brother left for him when his brother died. I don't know. I would love some more information there, because he inherited a dragon's egg from his brother. His brother died. I would love to know how his brother died. I'm 4 chapters in. We have not gotten that information. Just that his brother's been dead for 2 years, and he inherited a dragon egg. What I would love to know is what conditions have to be set for the dragon eggs to hatch, because the way it made it sound is that his family's been bombarding him saying that he needs to raise the dragon or give the dragon up. And it sounds like he's only had the dragon for 6 months, which means he had a dragon's egg for a year and a half. What the fuck? So, what I love most about the story so far is that there's different types of dragons. I think we've gotten 4 types of dragons mentioned, and like the kind of problems that can happen with the dragons, and like how rare the dragons are. I would love more world building with that in particular, because that to me has like been the best part of the story. But I really cannot figure out what I do not like about this story. I can't quite put my finger on it. There is something, and it's dealing with the characters. The man doesn't like talking to people. He practices his lines before he goes out and about. It hasn't been stated, but to me, he's very autistic coded. And I love that. In fact, actually, so far, he's been my favorite person. But there's something about the female character. Her name is Saphira. His name is Aiden. And there's something about Saphira I cannot quite put my finger on. And it's not even her. It's her relationship with other people and how she talks to them versus what she's thinking in her head. And it's just, I cannot for the life of me. When I figure it out, it's going to be like a light bulb in the middle of the night when I'm sleeping. I'm going to wake up from a dead sleep and be like, that's it! Because I cannot at the moment put my finger on what I do not like about her or this story in particular. It's being compared to The Spell Shop, and I loved The Spell Shop. I loved Legends and Lattes. Both were super cute, and I loved them. And this is supposed to be a cozy fantasy. And while it's very cozy so far, there is just something, the heart of it is missing, I think. Like, there is a feeling I get from cozies that I got from Legends and Lattes, that I got from The Spell Shop, that I'm not getting from this. And I think that's what it is. I think that's what I don't like about it, is that there is... Cozy fantasies are like low stakes, and while there can be a love story in them, there doesn't have to be. And actually, that's been my favorite part about that was one of my favorite things about Legends and Lattes. The romance was very, very subtle. It took like 3/4 of the book for it to actually even start. And the characters were still figuring things out at the very end of the story in Legends and Lattes, and I loved that. And same thing with the Spell Shop, is that the romance was very, very subtle. They started off as friends, kind of. They weren't even really friends because he remembered her, but she didn't remember him, kind of thing. They knew each other when, like, she was a child and her parents lived on the island, and then they moved away and she's back. And she doesn't remember anything about the island. And so she's relearning everything about the island and all this other stuff is happening. But, like, the build-up of the romance between them was extremely slow. And that might be another thing that bugs me about this one, is that it's very obvious from the moment they see each other. It's basically love at first sight. It's very obvious that they're attracted to each other, even though they won't say it out loud to each other. But maybe that's what I don't like about it too, is the fact that it's moving so fast. This one's very obviously not just a cozy fantasy, it's a cozy romantasy, and maybe that's what I don't like about it. I cannot quite put my finger on it, but there is just something that's just not clicking for me with this story. I'll figure it out eventually, and I'll report back when I do. Okay, it's official. I have clearly hit an age where I have no desire to play games when, like, dating someone, or if I have interest in someone, because I'm sitting here reading this book. They are clearly into each other, like, clearly. Very obvious to both them, each other, and, like, the outside world. Outside of them, I mean. But they're both pussyfooting around it and thinking that the other isn't interested in them romantically. I get drawing out I get drawing out tension, but sexual tension between characters, that you want to be a couple. I get it. But dear God, from the very moment this book started, it was very obvious these two characters were into each other. It was very, very obvious that Aiden liked Saphira and Saphira liked Aiden. Why am I 74% into this book and there's still moments where they almost kiss, and then one of them will say something stupid, and they will obviously see the other one being hurt and confused by what was said, but backing off. And okay, an example. Hold on, let me grab it real quick. For context, these two have been, like, playing around in the snow, throwing snowballs at each other. She threw a snowball, hit him in his eye. He fell down on the ground, pretending to be hurt, and she was comforting him. And she's sitting on his lap, pressing her, like, scarf to his eye. They're very close to each other, like, close to each other. It's very obvious they're gonna kiss. Very obvious. Then they get caught by someone who tells them to go to the hot springs. Hot springs are very coupley. They're very coupley. But that's not even my point. My point is that they're pretending to be a couple at this specific thing that's for, like, dragon riders only, and she is very obviously not a dragon rider. So they're pretending to be married. They're even wearing rings. Oh my god, super cute. Anyways. I cannot pronounce... They're at, like, the monastery, basically. And I cannot pronounce the sister's name, but the sister tells them about the hot springs, and says, I recommend the hot springs for riders the night before their baby's first flight. They're talking about the dragon. She said, it's always best for the riders to also be relaxed, or the baby dragon feeds off their energy, which we've discovered throughout the book. The baby dragon feeds off their energy of the people he's bonded with, and he's bonded to both these people. Okay, fine. Thank you, Aiden said. And Maria, I think it's pronounced Maria, Sister Maria, took her leave. After she was gone, Aiden turned to her being Saphira, his hands reaching for hers. Saphira stepped back, feeling silly. She's gone, Saphira said, voice quiet. You don't have to pretend. He frowned, hurt and confused. End scene. Like, girl, you were very obviously, like, getting ready to kiss before you were interrupted. Finish it! I just want to do the Mortal Kombat. Finish her! Like, ah! There is such a thing as drawing the tension too long, and we've hit that point in this book. They have drawn the tension too long. These two should have kissed long before now. There should have been something. And they need to quit pussyfooting around each other. It's very obviously like each other. They just, neither one will admit it to each other. They have admitted to, both of them have admitted to other people, but they're both like, I don't want to be the one to make the first move. Fuck you! Am I, like I said, like back when I just first started this vlog clip, have I just gotten to the age where I'm just like, I'm no longer ready to play games. If I like someone, I'm going to straight up, if I'm attracted to someone. Now, maybe this is different for me because I am demisexual. I have to form a emotional connection to someone before I feel a sexual attraction to them. But the moment I feel that sexual attraction, I literally go up to them and be like, you're cute. Want to hang? Like, is it just me? Am I crazy? Like, the moment I feel an attraction to someone, I'm letting them know. They're gonna fucking know. Because I ain't playing games. I ain't gonna be like, oh, I don't know how they feel about me. Girl, I don't care. I like them. I'm going to tell them. I don't care if they like me back. They don't have to. That's not on them. That's on me. Am I just weird? Is that weird? I think that's weird. Okay, so this is what I mean when I say it's very obvious that they like each other. So they're in the hot springs. No, ogre. Hold on. I am busy. Give me a second. She had him turn around so that she could strip down her underwear because neither one brought bathing suits. He's been to this place before. He fucking knew what to expect. That's another thing that's pissed me off. He said it's going to be intense. That was his only warning to her about what's happening at this place. He's been here before. He's been here for these rituals for the dragons. It's for their first flight. Intense does not describe what has happened to this baby dragon that has thrown her for a loop, by the way. We'll get to that. Let me get back to what I was meaning, though. So, the scene I'm getting ready to read to you, stuff like this has happened since the beginning of this book, and that's what's pissing me off about it. Is that there's all kinds of scenes like this where it is very, very evident that these two are into each other. They can see they're into each other, and they're not doing anything about it. So, here we go. For context, they're now both in the hot springs. They didn't see each other stripped down. They're in the hot springs. And, let's see. The spring had seemed adequately sized before, but now it felt tiny, hardly big enough for the both of them. Saphira swallowed, biting her lower lip. Aiden's face was unreadable, as if he wore a mask of stone. They both looked at each other, neither speaking, eyes drinking the other in. The space shrank, even more intimate somehow, and she was glad for all the steam. She felt she could hide behind it. His eyes were scorching, and she was afraid she would simply melt into the waters. He ran a hand over his face, wetting his lashes, then rested his arms up. Saphira stared, mesmerized by the muscles in his shoulders and arms, his glistening skin. Her heart raced, and she touched a hand to the base of her throat, pressing in, willing her heart rate to steady. As she did, his eyes followed the movement, lids lowered. His throat moved as he swallowed. With some difficulty, he dragged his eyes up her throat to meet her gaze, and she felt heat spread through her as though everywhere his eyes went, so did his hands. She could almost feel the phantom touch, could almost imagine what it would be like. That kind of shit has been happening since the beginning. It is very obvious. They are into each other. And yet, both of them are too fucking scared shitless kids to mention it. And these are full-ass grown adults. They're like in their 30s, I think. And the only reason I think that is because another character has been mentioned to be 21, and they're talking about them as if they're kids. So that's why I'm thinking that these people are in their 30s, the minimum. I'm so annoyed. I'm so annoyed. And we have reached the culmination of one of my favorite tropes to read. So I love a fake dating. And I think part of the reason I love the fake dating trope, which, by the way, didn't come into this book until like 60% into the book. But I think part of the reason I love a fake dating trope is because, inevitably, anytime there's a fake dating situation, there is always one more situation that I absolutely fucking adore. And that is the one-bed trope. Yes! They're pretending to be married at this monastery place. It's not once been called a monastery, it's just the way I'm thinking of it because of the way it was described. they're pretending to be married. And of course, if they're married, obviously they're sharing a bed, aren't they? Oh, yes. They've been pussyfooting around for long enough. It's time for them to give up and give it. These two poor sick idiots. I feel sorry for them. They're in bed together, both are dressed in night clothes, both are wearing full sets of pajamas. Boo. Dang it. They've hit a point where they're talking, and she says to him, it was nice chatting. And then she said, I feel like I'm having a sleepover with my best friend, she said. Not that I have ever had sleepovers with a best friend before, but hypothetically. He paused, considering something carefully. Saphira? She held her breath. Yeah? I think you're my best friend, he said, voice quiet. Happiness spread through her. You're my best friend too, she said. It's strange. We haven't even known each other for that long, but it feels like I've known you forever. I feel the same way, he told her. Like there's no version of me that existed before knowing you. These two sappy, sweet, lovesick, poor fools! Which, by the way, honestly, I really love this for them, honestly. They've known each other for a few months. They haven't been intimate. They've been, like, making eyes at each other across the room kind of intimate, but, like, that's it. There has been no physical... They've barely touched hands until the snowball fight. There's been accidental touches or even purposeful touches that were meant to be, like, friendly, not romantic, but it's been electrically charged because they are just so compatible and chemistry between them and all that fun jazz. But, like... In my opinion, you should be best friends with your partner. So the fact that they are best friends, to me, is, like, fantastic. Like, that's amazing. I love this for them. But at the same time, I'm like, you poor, sweet summer children. Can you, like, get a clue? Can we pass go? Can we collect $200? Can someone have a light bulb moment where they're like, oh shit. Can we just, please? Oh man. I'm dying. So I remember how I mentioned that the whole thing was supposed to be about the baby dragon's first flight. You know the idea back, I don't know when, this was not how I was taught, by the way, but you know how there's a saying where to learn how to swim, you just throw them in the water? I have to read you this one paragraph. That's all you need before you understand why I'm dying of laughter. Okay, so a novice from the monastery place, whatchamacallit, has picked up Sparky the dragon. And it says, they held on to talking about, they being Aiden and Saphira, they held on to each other tight as the novice reached the mountain's edge. He lifted Sparky up into the air and, without further ado, threw Sparky off and into the air. Dying. I am dying laughing. They're at the top of a mountain that's a cliff. He just threw Sparky off a cliff and been like, here you go! Fly or die! You gotta learn somehow. This is gonna be how he learns. That's all I have is this little chibi in my mind of this man, High Ogre. His man just like do and just throwing him off the edge. Okay, I'm gonna go read now. After I give Love and Pets. I figured out that the pacing was what was annoying me and that I wanted more time in the world and to like get to know the world around these characters other than just like the characters themselves and the plot and stuff like that. And it's still like the plot is still too fast for me. However, it is highly entertaining. I am loving this book and I really get why. This book has been recommended to me by several people. There's like, you love dragons, you'll love this book. And I get why. And I do love it to a certain extent. I wish it was more. Like, it has potential to be even better. And I'm recognizing that. But I realized what about the pacing is also, like, bothering me. So, there's this movie called Arthur and the Incredibles. I think it's based off a book. I do not know for certain. But that movie, the pacing, it's almost like someone has put it permanently on 1.25 speed. It's sped up just enough that I notice it, but not enough that I can't enjoy the movie, because I really do enjoy that movie. That's the way this book feels. It feels like someone, I'm reading it on ebook. I'm on chapter 21 of 25, and I'm reading it on my Kindle. And I feel like someone has put it at 1.25 speed. That's what it feels. It feels like the book equivalent to that. That's what it feels like, and that's why it bothers me. Is the book good? Yes, I like it. It's very entertaining. Is there things that I wish were different? Yes, absolutely. Especially that pacing. I want more world building. I want to know more about the world we live in. The fact that there's these families that apparently there's 4 prestigious families that are in charge of all the dragons of the world. And Aiden belongs to one of these families, and like no outsiders allowed. Like how does this happen? How does she live in a town with so many people from these prestigious families, but she herself is not one of these families? Like, I want to know how this works. I want to know more details. And if there's more than 4 families, why has this book been making it seem like there is literally the only 4? And the reason I know there's 4 is because there is 4 types of dragons. There is the Basalti. I'm probably butchering that. The Opala. I'm butchering that one. I know I am. Have I even met the 4th category? I haven't even met the 4th category yet. But there's 4 types of dragons, characterized by their colors. And Sparky is a black dragon, a Basalta. It's the rarest. They're known for their speed, their agility. They're the racers. And dragon racing is illegal in this world. Doesn't mean stop them from doing it. That's why these families are so powerful, is because they've been doing illegal racing for years. Anyways, you know, money is power, power's corrupt, kind of like that, stuff like that. Anyways, so like there's these 4 prominent, that's where like I want more world building to understand everything, because there's some things that have been said that are just conflicting information. And I'm like, how does this work? I don't know. But that's what it reminds me of. I feel like I'm reading the equivalent of watching Arthur and the Incredibles. It's just slightly sped up, that it's slightly annoying. But does that make it any less entertaining? No. No, it does not. It's still a good book. And I am enjoying it. Thoroughly. Other than the pacing, I think the slow burn portion of this has been too slow burn almost. And it wouldn't be slow burn if like the attraction between the two wasn't as obvious to like each other, and they're just literally refusing to admit it to each other. And I think that's the only thing I don't like about that. It's not the fact that it's slow burn. I love me a good slow burn. I like it when I get to near the end of the book and they're just starting to hold hands and kiss and stuff like that. Because that means that they've built up their relationship in other ways first. Remember, they gotta be best friends. But they've been making eyes at each other throughout the entire book. And yet in their minds they're like, I don't think she likes me. I don't think he likes me that. He doesn't like me like that. In the meanwhile, he's like growling at, other people who have been your best friend forever. And because he hasn't met them, he's assuming that you're being hit on by this random guy. And you don't think he likes you? Make it make sense. Why are people bitches? My couple has finally admitted that they like each other and they've actually kissed and they've made out and it's been hot. And we've got some bitchy people. So she runs this dragon cafe. However, the people with dragons are all hoity-toity, rich, powerful people. But they've been taking advantage of her dragon cafe. They've been using her dragon cafe. Why the fuck are these assholes sitting in her cafe bitching about her, talking about the fact that he's too good for her? And she can't get a dragon man. Fuck these bitches. These two are too adorable for their own good. Now that they've finally admitted that they like each other, they just did like a video chat where they ate dinner together. And like she did wash dishes, did some chores around the house, unpacked her bag from the trip. They're several places now. They've returned from their trip. And like, you know how when you like someone and you are starting to see them, but like teenage dating, when you're like on the phone for hours and you go to bed and you're still talking to them on the phone until you basically fall asleep. That's what they're acting like. They're super sweet. And like Part of me's like, you're grown-ass full adults. Like, you stop, quit acting like teenagers. Just admit that you like each other. The other part of me is seeing, like, moments like this, and I'm like, oh, they're so adorable. I can't be satisfied, apparently. I am both happy and sad for these two little lovebirds. I'm really happy because he's finally coming into himself and realizing he's tougher than he thinks he is. Because he's a soft little boy, and that's fine. I love a soft little boy. But, like, being with Saphira and having her, like, hype him up has been really good for him, and he's standing up for what he believes in front of people that he thinks will actually, like, put him down for it, and they don't, and it's awesome. But he never realized that. Excuse me. But at the same time, I'm sad because she's now dating someone who is from one of these prominent dragon families. And everyone in town believes that they shouldn't be together, and they're bad-mouthing her behind her back, or actually something tells me they're doing it on purpose when she's within hearing reach. But, like, she's also got a very shaky background because her mom was a dragon poacher. Now, both of them know this. In fact, actually, he was the one to inform her that she never really knew how her mom died. Her grandmother, who pretty much raised her after her mom's death, only told her that her mom got tangled up with some bad people and never told her the truth. And because of how close-knit all the dragon families are, they know everyone and they know everything. So they knew who she was, they knew who her mom was, and he told her what happened to her mom. Like, really what happened to her mom. Anticlimactic, actually. I was very upset about that. How little was, oops, dropped my phone. I was a little upset by how little reaction there was on her part. She was just like, huh, okay, and moved on like it was nothing. But I'm waiting for that to come back and bite them because of the fact that she's related to a dragon poacher, and she's not part of the dragon families, and now she's dating Aiden. I'm waiting for someone to come out of the woodwork and be like, she's only with him so she can steal his dragon. Because I know it's coming. We're too close to the end of the book for it not to be coming. Also, let me be clear. She's not only been good for him. He's been good for her too, because she's not as much of a workaholic as she was. Like, she's actually spending time with family and friends. She doesn't have any family. Her grandmother was the last of her family. Grandmother's gone now. Her father's been out of the picture for a very, very, very long time. She doesn't even know who her father is. And I just had a thought, literally as I was filming this. What if her dad's from one of the prominent dragon families? What if she is part of the prominent dragon families? Like, I'm curious now. I'm curious, because we don't know who her dad is. And that would be a mic drop if she was related to the prominent families and all these people are bad-mouthing her for no fucking reason. Because everyone remembers her mom, but no one remembers her dad because her dad's never been in the picture. So now I'm wondering. But yeah, she's spending more time with family. She's not family, friends. She's getting out of the cafe. Like, used to be her life from sun up to sundown was the cafe, and now she's getting out of the cafe and doing other things. So, like, she's been good for him, but he's also been good for her. So, this is not one of those, woman can fix everything. That's wrong with a man things. No, that's not how this has been. They've been good for each other. Best cutie patootie line between these two ever. So, I've mentioned before that I'm pretty certain Aiden is autistic coded, even though it has not once said he's autistic. But, like, he doesn't like loud noises. He doesn't like being in crowded rooms. He gets very much over into his head, and he has to practice his lines. His words, not mine. He has to prepare what he's going to talk about with people. He has to prepare questions. He has to prepare, responses. Hiccups. I hate them. I get them so often these days. But all this being said, that these lines between this conversation between these two is so super cute. And he says, I feel like in real life, I always needed to worry or wonder, practice things in my head, overthink, over-prepare. I noticed that about you at first, Saphira said. You would be very in your head, but I don't think you are so much anymore. That's because I'm comfortable with you, he replied. You make everything go quiet, in the very best way. Even though I'm so loud? He laughed. Even though you're so loud. Chef's kiss, beautiful. They are cutie patooties. I love them so much. It's been fantastic. They have my heart. Final thoughts. Is it a good story? Absolutely. I'm a little depressed by the ending. So, y'all already know this is going to be a spoiler-filled vlog. Of course, she hits that moment. People are talking about her behind her back. She wants to prove that she's somebody. And so she goes on this quest. She goes back to the monastery because, what's her name? Oh, shit. I don't remember her name. Mireia. Mireia mentioned that there was a test for outsiders to prove that they're dragon riders. And so because of everyone talking bad about her and being like, I can't believe they're together, I thought it was just a joke kind of thing. She's like, I've got to prove it. So she does this test and she succeeds. The test is for her to climb this mountain, face this dragon, and collect a gem from him. If she succeeds, she comes back with a gem. If she fails, dragon roasty toast her. And she dies. Obviously failing the test. She succeeds in the test, she gets the gem. I was fully 100% expecting that she would get back and the gemstone would be revealed to be a dragon egg. Because she didn't grow up with the dragon. She doesn't know what the dragon's eggs necessarily look like. Not once has she mentioned that she knows what the dragon eggs look like. So it would have been really funny to me if she collected this gem thinking it's just a gem, and then she gets back and Aiden's like, that's not a gem, that's a dragon's egg. So I'm a little disappointed with that. But that's just a me thing. Like, that would have been like the perfect ending, in my opinion. But it wasn't a dragon's egg, it was a gem, and that's fine. Not mad about it at all. But is the story good? Yes. Was it a little too fast-paced for me? Yes. Did I still have an excellent time reading it? Absolutely. I finished it in one day. The things that annoyed me, I've already talked about. And they weren't enough of a deterrent to make sure that I didn't finish it, obviously, because I'm very quick to DNF books. Once I got to the 25% mark and I was like, okay, I'm fully invested, I want to know what happens, I was good to go. So, yeah. I really enjoyed it. I liked it. I will read this next one when it comes out. Oh, that's what I was going to do. I was going to figure out who the next one, the main characters in the next one are. The bakery. Oh, I was right! Is it who I think it is? I can't read this. Hold on, my glasses are not on. Lavinia and Theo. Yes, it's exactly who I think it was. It's the baker. Okay, now I need to know. It says that book 3 is already listed too. Let's see if it says who book 3 is about. The Baby Dragon Bookshop. Sorry. It's not available. Comes out January 29th, 2026. When does the other one come out? Hold on. Did I miss a date? August 28th, 2025. Okay. So in August, the second one comes out. Will I be reading it? Probably. The third one doesn't have any information. It just says it's just got a pre-order link. So I don't know when that... I know when it comes out, but I just don't know who the characters are for that one. So that sucks. But I have my suspicions on who it is, except for it says bookshop, so it's not who I think it is. So we're going to meet someone in book 2 who's going to be the main character of book 3. Now I'm curious. Because the other couple I thought it was going to be like an enemies to lovers with Emmeline, I think is her name, and Luke. She owns a shop where she does dragon roasted coffee beans, and he owns a chimera roasted coffee bean shop, and they hate each other, or at least she hates him. The one interaction we had with him, when he saw Emmeline, he was smiling and laughing. So I have a feeling he does not hate her. Give me a rivals to lovers trope, not enemies to lovers, because that's not what that is. Okay, so side tangent. To me, and don't come at me for this, this is just my feelings about it, this is my opinions. To me, enemies to lovers is when they both hate each other and they slowly over time see eye to eye about certain things, and they slowly over time become friends, and they slowly over time become possibly lovers. Most enemies to lovers these days is like super quick, and to me that's not enemies to lovers. And I'm not a huge fan of enemies to lovers. However, rivals to lovers, I am smitten for. I love a good rivals to lovers. Two coffee bean shops that are going head to head, beautiful, perfect. You want to know the best way for them to get together? They combine their coffee shops. Like, to me, that, they don't own coffee shops, but that's not the point. To me, that is it. I read another one that I was like, that was like top level tier for me. They were academic rivals. They both went to the same school. This was a magic school, and they've always been head to head. He has never once hated her. In fact, he's always loved her, but he couldn't talk to her because she seemed to hate him because he was always beating her in grades. And he kept it up because the moment he stopped and he started getting behind in his grades, she stopped striving as far. So like, he only did good because he wanted to see her do good, and it was beautiful. Chef's kiss. I loved it. I love a good rivals to lovers. It's enemies to lovers that I don't like. However, everything that's rivals to lovers gets labeled as enemies to lovers because I guess technically it is. So yeah. All right. Side tangent aside. This book was really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Baby Dragon Café. I'll have a link in the description. Go read it. Go enjoy it. Love it. Some final thoughts that I did not mention in this spoiler-filled video that occurred. So there were some plot points that I mentioned that I would have loved to have seen. Of course, I would have loved to see more world building with the 4 types of dragons and the backstory of both Aiden and Saphira. I would have loved more attention to, like, they talked about her mom a lot and the fact that she had passed, but it felt like once she knew the real reason behind her mom's passing, it felt like it was like never once mentioned again. Like, she was only a plot point up until that point, and then she was like never mentioned again, and that felt a little wrong to me. Another point is I mentioned that I thought it would have been really cool if it turned out her dad was also one of the more prominent dragon families, because she doesn't know who her dad is. That plot point never goes anywhere. The moment it's just basically once it's revealed how her mom died for real, neither of her parents are ever really mentioned again, ever. And her grandmother's only mentioned a couple of times because of the fact that Saphira could only open up the coffee shop because when her grandmother passed away, she left her a large sum of money with the intention of her opening up the cafe. So it felt like pretty much the moment she found out how her mom died, neither one of her parents were ever really mentioned again. And so there was no discovery about who her dad was. I still think it would have been really cool to find out that her dad was a dragon rider, and that plot point fizzled out. And that's on me. I put too much expectations. That's something I would have done if I had written this kind of thing. But it was slightly disappointing that they didn't go that route. The other route that was slightly disappointing was the fact that the gem that she had to go get for this test did not end up being a dragon's egg, because I thought that would have been really cool. And yeah, other than the fact that I wanted to learn more about the dragons and the raising of dragons, how dragons' eggs are hatched and stuff like that, it's a really good book. I'm hoping maybe we'll explore some of that in further books in the series, but I'm a little disappointed that it wasn't in this series. Between all of that, the slow burn with the characters, that was like too slow burn considering they were making eyes at each other from the moment they met, and denying their feelings to each other. There was actually at one point legit that Saphira looked at her friend and coworker and straight up said, "He does not like me that way," when they had almost kissed a couple pages before. What do you mean he doesn't like you that way? He wants to kiss you, you want to kiss him. You like each other. I ranted about that enough. I did not like the interactions between her and her friend at first, because the way her friend was introduced into the book, it felt like they were only co-workers and had only been worked with each other for a few months ever since she opened her cafe. It wasn't until several chapters later that it was explained that they've known each other since they were like babies. They were raised around each other. They grew up together, and the reason their relationship was the way it was is because they were best friends who just happened to work together, not that they were co-workers who just happened to become best friends. There's a completely different dynamic with that kind of thing. And the way they were acting around each other when these two were first introduced into the book was not correct, in my opinion. They had a very much a non-professional relationship, and knowing that they were friends before they worked together makes that relationship between each other make sense, and the lack of professionalism between them makes sense. But with the idea in mind that they've only been working together for a few months ever since she opened the cafe, and then they have become friends over time, the lack of professionalism just seemed to me, it was very off-putting. And then when I learned that they've known each other for a while, I was like, oh, okay, the way they act around each other makes more sense now. And maybe that's weird for me, but I felt like that was a big point. Like, from the moment, I think her name is Lavinia, I cannot remember the friend's name, but the moment they mentioned the friend, they did not explain how well these two knew each other, only they'd been working together for a few months, and that the friend was trying to get into vet school and work with baby dragons. So when they finally did tell us more backstory between the two and admitted that they'd been friends for a while, by then I'd already formed an opinion about them, and it actually made me dislike Saphira, the main character, a lot more. And I was just like, I cannot stand this bitch and the way she treats her coworkers. And it turned out it wasn't because she was a coworker, it was because she was a friend, long before she was ever a coworker. So, that rant aside, I like the book. It's entertaining. Do I love the book? No. Do I like the book? It's been a few days since I finished reading it. About a week now, actually. And would I read it again? Probably not. Will I continue the series? Possibly. I don't know. In the moment, I was saying I would. But honestly, this isn't a book I'm going to reread, and if I forget most of the plot line before the next book comes out, I probably will not read it, but we'll see. We'll see. If they ever do release a book with the two coffee bean providers, Emmeline and Luke, if a book is released with those two, I will definitely read that one. But I don't know if I'll read the others in the series prior to that. As entertaining as this book was, it could have been more. There was things about it that I did not like as much that I think I would have enjoyed more had they been built up. It's very much one of those books where, like, there was definitely points where I was asking as a reader, can we get more detail about this? And then there never was throughout the entire rest of the book. And if this was a series where each book still followed the same characters, I would not mind that as much. But each book in the series is meant to stand as a standalone because you're following different couples. And so that's why I'm more irritated about that. But anyways, thank you. If you made it this far, thank you for watching this very spoiler-filled vlog where I basically just, lost my shit about these characters, never admitting that they like each other. And that's pretty much the extent of the book. That's the extent I've got. So, alrighty then. I will chat with you guys later. Alright. Bye, Dragonlings.